I think the Prime Minister and Wi-Fi, I want to show them that everybody and every Wi-Fi is distributed to a certain specific set of things. Like for example, one Wi-Fi is just for
humility, discipline, and perseverance. But the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve through love, wisdom, commitment, and focused action. I must achieve a spiritual renaissance, economic revitalization, and mastery of the substance. The Zandi Father, the Earthly Mother, and I are one. Through health, wealth, and prosperity are I and I natural birthright. Blessed be the union that brings us abundance and opulence in all things divine. That the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in thy sight, O divine Father and Mother. Yeah! Rastafari! Yeah! Rastafari! Yeah! Rastafari! And of course, Empress Meninai, give a thanks. You are here with us for the I Respect Rastafari I-Frence, as we segue right into our next item on the program. And of course, we're going to have a very vibrant presentation. And I'm going to introduce the chairman of this vibrant presentation. And of course, we're calling on quality and punishment. Quality and punishment. Of course, the record Rastafari, we welcome Dr. Ras Jalani. Good night.
I first want to greet you in the name of the Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie, and Empress Waziri Women. I want to thank the organizers for this purposeful event on this really important week, the shortest month of the year in Ethiopia. This week is also the birthday of Great Rastafari Patriarch Mortimer Plano, who was on Monday, Ras Daddy who is tomorrow. But just to recognize that this is a fulsome moment to bring national attention to issues that have for too long plagued. In addition to Mortimer Plano's name, now ancestor, I want to mention the name Mario Dean. 7 years ago, still unresolved, he was badly brutalized and killed because of the possession of a slip. I think his mother still holds a vigil to bring resolution to that. I want to mention Bongo Beard, who was the first of our Rastafari elders to have the challenge after the ganja decriminalization legislation, have the challenge of police confiscating his herb on his way to Nadi gathering. Our mission this morning is one to represent and to demand that Rastafari is by no means subhuman, but indeed the reality of continuity and no solution. On Rastafari from as early as 1960, with the University report, was released as 2016, 5 years. Respect Rastafari. I want to close my opening remarks by sharing a comment made to me when I began Professor Rex Metropole, said to me something that really amazed me coming from someone like himself. He said, Rastafari had to cease being the margin and become the one to determine the margin. Now, the statement took me by complete surprise, but it made me understand that much of his politics that celebrated Rastafari was genuinely founded on a real understanding of who we are, that we are not ones to be pariah or outcasts, but indeed ones who have the whole interest of humanity at our heart. What it means is that we're natural leaders of the society, and that is what this is about today. Our cry for respect is one, a cry to respect us as social leaders, 50 years ahead of the rest of the society from instance. And this is something we're saying needs to be recognized and institutionalized in a way that ceases all of the atrocities that we see. We have a very, very able panel to help to illustrate our arguments. They have among them over 40, 50 years of activism experience. Someone like Miguel Lone has been on the battlefield for at least 50 years. Whatever, as much as he's a little younger, has been almost there 50 years. And First Man, a younger Kingston, is soon to become one of the elders with that kind of experience. We also have Sister Manisha. Her experience comes from the womb because she's one born into a Rastafari family from Portland, Coffee, an educator and healthcare concerned worker. This is the panel lineup that we have to take us through issues as it relates to framing this history, speaking to specific issues as it relates to education and health, and also speaking to issues of repeated justice and problems, especially as it relates to the sacrament. It's continued theft by law enforcement officers and extortionist principles that leave us completely underdeveloped as we understand is the intention. I'm not going to say much more now. I'm going to ask our first speaker, who is Brother Miguel Lawrence, who is going to be speaking on the issue of Rastafari and the justice system, to provide us with an overview at this time. Brother Miguel is a publisher and Pan-African lawyer, radio talk host, master teacher, community historian. So we just ask him now to share with us his thoughts. Please give a round of applause for Brother Miguel Lawrence. Yes, sir. I want to hear all the warriors. Warriors! Isaac, that are here. But I mean, when you're there, all the British, warriors. That's what we are. Isaac, warriors. Warriors. Beloved, we could go through, because as you know, from the 1930s, up to now, we have had a trail of persecutions and prosecutions against Rastafari. Brethren were prosecuted just for being together, just for walking in white shoes out in St. Thomas. And many brethren suffered from upstanding Rastafari. We have documentation to show that from the 1930s, you had Bustamante writing to the colonial secretary, trying to get rid of Lennon Howell and the Rastafarians. And you come right up to the 40s and the 50s, the persecutions that were meted out to I and I. Continued, brothers and sisters, as you all are aware of, in the 50s, 58, when Prince Emmanuel called that convention at March from Bacawal to, which is now St. William Grand Palm, and again was thwarted when the police intercepted and tried to, and not tried to, but beat brothers and sisters. This led eventually to Bacawal being mowed down, Rastafarians, so on. Now, brothers and sisters wrote many letters. Brothers, we have letters that were written to King George, letters that were written to the Queen of England, and some brothers took matters to court. But some others, when they carry out peaceful action, not respected at all. So matters went before the court.
We had the Kirk Johnson case in 1982, where Kirk had passed his scholarship to go to Camperdown High School. The school refused to accept him with his dreadlocks. The matter went to court, and the court ruled that the school was wrong to seek to deny him of his freedom of association, freedom of exercising his religious belief. We had matters, we had Rastafarian cases that where the Queen of England was sued for reparations in 2002. Right up there at King's House, the documents were served while she was in Jamaica. And one of the complainants in that lawsuit is Brother I-Frence, who ironically is one of the cases we are championing now, when his precept was cut off at the Kingston hospital. So we have had these matters coming up over the years, brothers and sisters, and we seem to be getting lip service. Matters have gone to court, several matters. The government of Jamaica has been sued many times for atrocities carried out against Rastafari. Whether it's to beat them at the police station, beat them on the road, cut off their locks, and in a lot of cases that I know about, brothers and sisters, in those cases, in a lot of, I'd say over 90% of the cases, the Attorney General admit liability and settle out of court. They could not even find a defense. But if you don't fire the policeman, if you don't charge him, then it continues, because you don't even let him know that you have settled the matter out of court in the instances that I know about. So it means that if you don't take drastic action, then it seems that it will continue, and we will seem to be going in a cycle over and over again. So this is why we have called this I-Frence conference, to say, well then, you must pass legislative measures to ensure that some of these things doesn't happen. In the case of Queen Nzinga Candace King, you can't have, all you merely do is transfer the police lady to another station. No, we think that she should be summarily dismissed. And when the usual drug policy of talking about you're going to investigate and so on, we know that is a waste of time. And a month passed, 2 months passed, and 5 years passed, and we see the game played. Brothers and sisters, we say that enough is enough where that is concerned. And so we have had many cases. We have had the case of the 22nd of July. We have had the Javon and Justin Column case, which comes up before the Brownstown Court and the court, where they were beaten at the Brownstown police station. We have the case of the Christian Swady, the young lady Christian Swady, that was beaten at the market in Nathan. We have the case of Ruben Larman, who was brutally beaten at the General Penitentiary just a week and a half ago, to the point where he was admitted in the Kingston Public Hospital. He had to do a CAT scan. They awaited the results to see if his brain had been damaged. And we could go on and on of the amount of atrocities that have taken place, brothers and sisters. And we are saying now, we have sent out letters. Ironically, even before some of these atrocities, dealing with the numerous reports that regarding the ganja atrocities. The law has been amended. Strangely enough, the police have towards the new ganja amendment law that Rastafarians have certain rights. And to carry further, many of the judges have not been made aware that there is a new dispensation with regards to Rastafari rights. So we have Rastafarians on their way to a Nayabingi with 5 pounds of herbs, 6 pounds of herbs, and they are arrested and brought before the court. And the judges say, no, you don't have a right to carry so much. Yet the law permits you your sacramental right. Brothers and sisters, you know, we're not right. from 1930 to now, 9 million years, we're not surprised of the atrocities meted out to us. I know why we're not surprised. As long as you are defiant as the way we are, because we say what has been said and what is being done, the Parliament has reflected police concern and not in the court, reminding us yes. Okay, so online, our audience is reminding us that public apology needs to be mandatory. And this is coming from several jurisdictions following us, Canada, US, etc. We're going to next ask our next speaker is Monica Pope, who is going to address us on Rastafari in education and health services. As I said before, Sister Monica is a trained teacher. She's also the secretary of the Nabindi Association and an active young member, well groomed to become a nice matriarch as we move forward. Monica, please give her a round of applause.
In his speech in 1963 to the African Union, His Majesty said that throughout history, it has been the inaction of those who should have acted, the indifference of those who should have known better, and the silence of justice and the silence of the voice of justice when it mattered most, that has made it possible for evil to triumph. Today, I want to read to you on discrimination, stigma, the violation taking place in our schools, social services such as health, and even in our penal institutions when our brothers and sisters are arrested. We saw last year where the Supreme Court ruled that Kensington Primary could ban a child for wearing locks. On the matter that her hair may be dirty, it may attract danger and lies. But I can say to you today that as a teacher, all Jamaican classrooms are overcrowded. All Jamaican classrooms are poorly ventilated. So if it is a case where we're looking at hygiene, it should not be that we discriminate against the Rasta child and other children with long hair, tall hair, coolie hair, every other kind of hair is accepted in our schools. We see that where children who are accepted, there is discrimination, and this discrimination starts at home because learning begins in the home. They come to school and they discriminate against the children, calling them dirty-head Rasta. In some instances, we find that even educators are calling our children one side to say to them that your hair represents poor hygiene. A mother recently reached out to me and she said, Sister Monica, I have to cut the locks of my 8-year-old child. And this child was attending school in Red Hills, Kingston, because the children refused to speak to her after her hair was locked. We cannot allow this to happen. We find that in schools, administrators are discriminating against even Rastafari teachers, especially the males. Both teachers and students, they are being targeted. They are being told that they must cut their hair. If the male teacher attends school, they are telling him that his hair is unkept, his hair is untidy, and his locks look unprofessional. Now, are we judging people based on their level of education, or are we judging them based on their hair? Why is it that locks can look unprofessional, but 6-week-old braids are acceptable? European wigs are acceptable. Jerry curls that mess up our blouses have a pungent odor is acceptable. But our locks, our hair in its natural state represents odor, it represents life, it represents something that is not becoming us African descendants. No, we're not going to take that stand. So we want to speak to the government on how we deal with children, how administration deals with children and teachers who wear locks. Another thing that I want to speak about today is the meal choices in school. while preparing my speech for today, I did a survey of 50 schools in Jamaica. I contacted my colleagues, I sent out a message on Facebook, WhatsApp, to find out what is prepared at school for our children. Of the 50 schools in Jamaica, public schools, only 2 schools have vegetarian meal options. All the other schools have no options for vegetarian meals for our children. So our children are at school and they're forced to eat snacks, dry goods, or we have to get up and prepare meals. In some instances, when they go to the canteen and they're sick, they're told that they need to eat meat because it will weaken their bones need strength. We need to stop. And we need to educate the masses that we need to stop. Another thing I want to point out, because the time is limited, is the psychological warfare of our children in school. When their children from different religious backgrounds, they are excused from devotion. But in our government school, Rasta children are told that they need to pray. They need to pray, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. When our children refuse, sometimes they are punished. As a teacher, if I do not go to devotion, I can be warned. I am not participating in devotion. So why is it that you must force me to go to devotion? And if I could go to devotion and raise my flag and say, give thanks to His Majesty, you're going to say that I'm indoctrinating the children. So these are some issues that our children are facing in the school system. And I'm just observing and looking at the matter that in our parliament, we have politicians with locks, we have Alando Terrylang, we have Damian Crawford. What if it is a case where they were denied an education at 7 or 8? Would they get to that stage in the ministry where they can wear their locks and represent themselves for whatever reason they have locks? This has to stop. Finally, I'm going to talk about locks in the health system, how we're treated in health and penal institutions. And this goes back to the point of our beloved I-Frence, I-Reliance, whose precepts were trimmed, and for those who don't know precepts we're talking about is here. I am sure that the nurses, the doctors, the staff at the hospital would have known that he came in as a Rastaman and this is a part of him. But based on them not hearing enough, I think, they trimmed the precept of the Rastaman, and to this day the family has not received word on the matter. These are things that we need to address publicly, these are things that we need to address for, and these are things that they will not rest until they get Rastafari.
This system reminding us that the school system is a primary place for assault on our young people in various different ways based on colonial attitudes and behaviors. Issue of alcohol or vegan, lack of choices in the school system. And we see it not just in school, in hospital, etc. There are often very little choices that recognize the principle of our nutrition. But many people think it's just about eating vegetables, and the Rastaman is supposed to be good with that. Thank you so much, Sister Manifa. You want to move next to what I'm told is a video which is ready. Is the video still going to be shared? Alright, so we're trying to cue a video, a justice video, to share with you at this moment. Okay, we do have it. We have to return the attention of the school here for the justice video that we prepared. The sound out of play, just the video. We're gonna have that stuff. We're going to return to that video that we promised you. We want to now invite our next speaker, who is Rastafari, who is going to share with us brief context of the war related to ganja and issues related to that. First man is a young elder, of course, and the founder of Rastafari, Indigenous Village, innovative entrepreneur, designer for our community. So please help us to welcome First Man to the mic.
Yes, greetings in the mighty name of Emperor I-Frence the first. Greetings in the power of the ancient. Greetings in the power of the God. It is truly, I don't want to use no pleasure to be here. I don't want these things to stop. That's the first thing, you know? Because whenever we're going to be talking about Rastafari, we're going to be talking about her, and we're going to be recognizing Rastafari, I think one of the first things that we have to do is to look at Rastafari contribution. What does Rastafari, and it was amazing, every time I listened to Empress Nzinga mother, she kept on saying, she can't believe that in the 21st century, Rastafari has no respect, and look at the amount of contribution that Rastafari has made to this country. So I think really and truly, our effort here is to look at respect. What does respect really mean? And the government, I must let you know, is not lack of awareness as to what respect means. I know this because the government invited I and I to come to functions about conventions that they have signed. And in those conventions, they identify their responsibility to the community of Rastafari in a respectful way. In fact, that's the primary word of the convention. And what respect means in those conventions is that first, you will have a structured relationship. Structured relationship means that we don't have to lobby to get the government to talk to it. But what the government will do is set up entrenched spaces in their ministries to ensure that the Rastafari issues can be addressed. Why does Rastafari issues have to be addressed? There's a lot that this country owes Rastafari, and a lot of it comes through the herb. Because in reality, all the people who are Rastafari are people who know their history and know that they have been damaged and lied to by the colonial system. And what the herb has done, it has expanded us into Emperor King Selassie I. Give us a space that we could look deeper into ourselves. And instead of taking the wrath of revenge, what we choose to do is to extend one love. Opening up a space to the government to recognize a civilized way how they can govern in relationship with life, with nature, with people. So as a result of that, the government owes us for this, because it is the same government who introduced us to more conventions, which taught us about not running Jamaica like a business, so you're looking at the branding. You run Jamaica like a nation, so you're looking at what it stands for. And what Jamaica stands for cannot be what we are about here today. That in the 21st century, all over the world, everybody can have their lots. But in the place that preserve lots, we are being brutalized. Yeah? And it's the same thing surrounding the ganja. So respect means, as I say, a structured relationship. So we don't have to war to talk to the government. Respect also means education and awareness. And in this space, we know that a lot of people, especially the media, don't know the financial contribution that Rastafari has made to this country through the same through what they call marijuana, ganja. Through those purposes, we have to educate the media to start to look into cultural industry. Know that what Rastafari is recognized for, I see them give out some money to Coral Garden, Benevolent Society. Nobody knows how that money was calculated. I know that we are recommending Rastafari through the IOJ. There's a Rastafari exhibit. And there's also the amendment in the law. But where is the respect if it is not implemented? Where is the respect that from 2015 until now, we find that the government wants to put us in some partisan reasoning to say how PNP did behave with ganja and how GLP behave with ganja. You can't have us in those conversations. It's one government we are dealing with. And that government has not been dealing with us in any kind of a way that makes sense. Because they told us that ganja is a bipartisan, meaning the PNP agree and GLP agree that ganja must be decriminalized. So on this journey, they also spoke about respect to the capacity building, which means that whatever you want to develop yourself as a community, the government will ensure that these things are provided. Discussing how divided we are, while you go on places like in Montego Bay and see red, green, and gold there in every man shop. They are harassing us for a split, they're harassing us for 10 pounds, they're harassing us for ganja, they're harassing us for everything that does not make any sense. And as a result of this, we are saying, identify Rastafari contribution that we have made to this country. Because the little things that you have recognized, don't treat it as if Rasta get that and mention and go cool. It's not about tokenism, it's what we are owed. And this is our legitimate right, and the government must respect these rights. Rastafari. Yes.
First man, indeed, the cultural industries are largely our industries. I like the fact that you raised the point that we have really brought attention to this as a major potential, and still we are being put to the side of this. I want to ask our next speaker, who is none other than, okay, we have an intervention, Mr. I-Frence and Sister Farida. You're going to speak the intervention, Sister Farida, that's our work?
As you know, that much of the focus and attention online was about a petition that went out when the first vibration in terms of the sea justice. So we want to give thanks to all those online who have been going on the petition. We have over 6,000 signatures. But I think what is most significant at this time is that this is an international vibration, an international song, and we have to pay respect to the ones who have joined in the struggle and the response to the government across the world. This one is just coming in, literally, as we speak, from the UK. This is a multi-mansion movement in the United Kingdom that is also joining forces with the masses in Jamaica to really bring against a response from the government that will really listen to the cry of the international community. So we are going to hear from Ras and I, but I just want to really explain to the ones online that this is not just a domestic affair. This is the international community of Rastafari family. And with respect to all the ones who have put together their thinking and reading the 10 Demandments that have been put forward in this petition to see if they too can endorse this common strength. They're going to hear from I-Frence what these 10 Demandments are, but just to let you know. So coming now to the other regions of the world, they're coming now to Ecuador. This is the Pan-African movement in Ecuador, Latin America. As I said, this is an international movement, international uprising across the world, not just domestically in Jamaica. And this is written in Spanish. I used to get Spanish in high school, but it's a rusty. So I can't translate. But they are saying the same thing, that this is also going on in Latin America, in Ecuador, in Chile. There's also one from Chile. There's one from the Naya House in Guyana. We also have brothers like Brother Greece, who have been fighting the fight for the longest Iowa. And they're also joining. There was a prior event or town hall meeting across the world to look at these 10 Demandments. This was not written by a small number. behind the computer. This was brought before over 100 over this strong end that were looking and reflecting and bringing in the articulation of what is the demand. So now I will hand back over to the MC. This was just saying that these literally are coming in this morning to show the vibration that this is causing across the regions of the world. Handing back over to the moderator.
Give thanks that Sister Farida, one of the key organizers of this event. So we're next going to hear from Rastafari, who is an IB priest, one of the first students of the priesthood in that sense, all of the old people that he was nurtured by. So he's really an important living archive. He's going to share with us the context of our demandments, and I think there's a video that follows that. So yes, we want to turn over to the one and only Rastafari to share with us the context of our demandments.
Well, we give thanks to we give thanks to the global family, we give thanks to the presenters that the students I know, you know. And Sister Carida, Sister Carida, I want to add that Mexico and also sent in their letters. And there are so many letters out there, but our community is just asking for mailing addresses. This is a global thing. You know, the entire globe of Rastafari are disgruntled with what is happening here in Jamrock. And we say the evil that started in Jamaica took on rippling effects across the Caribbean and the world. So it's incumbent upon the Jamaican government to set the tone right, and I and Rastafari people as we gather here under the banner. I respect Rastafari, I universally, I am looking forward for these demandments to be fulfilled. So we look at it, we say the goals and expect the outcome of respect Rastafari, collective security assurance initiative. So it says the initiative of the global family seeks to promote all existing positive works. The elders long before us, from in the early 50s, 60s, coming up into the 70s when the elders are meeting the government of Jamaica, Prime Minister one day. They had got meetings with Edward Siaga. The elders have championed this cause to get Rasta to stop get trim, that the respect was due to Rasta. So this initiative is just saluting those who have gone ahead, and they are now taking the baton to another level. The INT came up with a 3-4 demandments, 10 priorities we are look at, but the world know one of the first things Rasta, even though we do on the side, islands and countries, one of the main goals is repatriation. Until the day when we leave these islands, I have said that the rights that is due to us as a people must be given. So like trimming a locks and discriminatory attitude by the state, you know, the violence against Rasta, we are saying, a full time, the end of the cut off. Within the social service, the discriminatory attitude and why they turn up their job. How many songs have been sung by Rastaman? Remember Rastabi? You see, down here, freaky people need not apply. Because the plight of the Rastaman, I say, once you go for your job and you have locks, you have to cut it. Guys, it cannot be in the workplace. So we have to it's time the discriminatory attitude come to an end. I remember my empress going to have a child in one of the and when she turned up as a Rasta woman, it's like the nurse them never want to look around for her. One nurse take me out of the line and said, good morning, and he them said, good morning, while I was waiting in a line to go up to say, well, good morning, nurse, my wife is here. The woman just get down to me because she's a Rasta. That I said, wow, Rasta needs to set up a little medical center for a child hearing because these hospitals now treat me good. We can time them till the end. When it comes to the ganja issue, we look for an amendment and we salute the amendment, you know, at 2015, you know, we say, yeah, the government, 2 houses of parliament come together. Decriminalization, but we look for it and we look for the laws and we say, but the laws not carried out. I spoke to the security minister and said, my breaking was held in £1 a week. And when the officer in Poro stopped him and asked him about the ganja, he said, officer, and got to my hand, I had £1 of sacrament. I heard, but the guy don't know nothing about that. All I know is that more than 2 hours to lock you up. When the brother went before the judge before us, the judge had said, this is not telling me about the law, I am here to respect the law. Once you have over £2, you don't have to take 6 months after you get $8,000. So we have said that even the police them or the judiciary, they know what this new amendment is saying. We have said the illegal persecution of Rasta, the ganja stop. Yeah? And we have said, within the sacramental space, every Rastaman supposed to have a right by law to plant his own sacramental herb. And not even that we are allowed to do. You plant your herb because you live in a city, so you go a country to plant it. How do you transport it from country to town? So I want to put it in a car and come and police and you find out you're down a jail. You find out with £2 you're down a jail. So nothing has changed. These are just some of the things that we have to get out of the way as part of the temple. You look at other things within a short term. Officer Barber should have gone long time. She should have been moved out of the space. Any police, anybody that commit crime against any citizen, you have to move them out of that space until the court system is done and over. And if them right, yeah, then they continue. If not, remove them out. Yeah? So we need to have that now. State compensation. I always say they our tax money are paid for the crimes of police. They have to find a way to get police to pay for the crime of the committed citizens, especially against Rasta. Can't see how this Rasta become the beaten state. The enforcement of the ganja industry and legal exemption. Freedom to plant the weed, we must get that. The transport, the distribution, yeah, and official endorsement of ID and regulatory system and exemption from the license. Rasta shouldn't appear license to plant the weed. If Rasta suffer the grunt that it make everybody in the world realize that ganja is good. When I hear Jamaican government officials talk about the importance of ganja, the medicinal value of it, the commercial aspect of ganja, them to shut their mouth. We've been telling them that long time, and them prison with it. We have said these things have to change. In the medium term, we have said a code of conduct must be developed, distributed, and displayed at the police station. When we go to Barnett Street Police Station, I'm sure the police inspector there that section 72 of the Amendment Act, the Rasta have a right to possess ganja if it is for sacramental use. Yes, I said, no, I have never seen this. I'm not going to know this officer, and this is law. We said this law should be written up in the police precinct. The officer wanted to shoot a picture of the booklet that we have. We said, no, every justice ministry officer and sub-officer and court officer made this amendment in the booklet form known to the police and to the judges. So we are called for that in the medium term. And development of a curriculum and mandatory training. You know, we overstand through the Bad Friday videos at the police training center out at Kingston Park because the image of a Rasta man upon the shooting range. That means that the police they come out of the training room, the classroom with a mindset against Rasta. We have to go spin that round now. I think they have to go invite Rastafari training school to come to tell them young youth who is Rastafari. And the government now, we have to set up now public education programs now. So we see from GIS every time to know who Rastafari is and that the people of Jamaica and the world will learn to respect Rasta as an indigenous culture that is unique, not only to the island, but unique in its philosophy that has encompassed the globe today. Not just a Jamaican thing, but a global phenomenon where the world, in all the languages they are thinking about, there's Rasta praising Haile Selassie. The longer term, and all the things that are done in a no chart order, the amendment of the Education Act. not tell government to amend that. Every child have a right in school. That's time to be doing, you know. So every child must be in school, you know. So if the religion send here for long, yes, long man, if the religion send here for baller, you have to know that. So you have to change it to suit the youths them and the philosophy because of every child must be in school. Every child has the right to be in school. We have our teachers. We have some teachers who are Jordan witness. We can't tell them to go do devotion. I'm part of a school board and the teacher who is a Jordan witness. The principal here not say, this one so I would like to tell you devotion this morning. No, it's not part of her. But they would have want to tell the Rasta teacher. Tell me, Rasta teacher, they have to read the devotion. And you should go up there and say, greetings in the name. That's what you to say. Greetings in the name of the Almighty Kadamari, I Selassie. Yet here says she has practical lies and she's bringing her own doctrine on the students. They have been bringing doctrine to me. They're going to do the So, and a Human Rights and Indigenous Rights Protection Act. This is a public bill by the Supreme Court to make it a criminal offense of any violation of human rights to any indigenous groups and without people, Rastafari, the Maroons, and anyone, despite you violate people's rights, yeah man, you have to pay. And whosoever do it, is subjective. Just like a man with a gun will go out there and rob somebody and you're fine him. Just like a man will raping daughter and enough pedophile out there, you know. And enough people in our society are doing violence against women. Anybody found guilty of that man to be judged by the law. We are talking about restorative justice. And we are talking say for Rasta, that's why I like Gaston Brown because when he go out in first ganja license, he's a 51% for the investor, yeah, and it's the one on 40, 51, 49%, and then he give Rasta a percentage over the government because the Prime Minister respects the rights of Rasta and their adherence to the use of herb will make it possible. So we are saying, take a page out of Prime Minister Jackson Brown book from Antigua and know say Rasta have a special priority. We are saying that every tax them tax, if it is on tax Kaya, a percentage of what Kaya pay should have go towards the Rastafari just fund. A percentage of every ganja license given when government collect, a percentage should go towards Rastafari as part of restorative justice. These are some of the things, there are few things, and 10 of them. And there is more to come, but we can take it one step at a time. Yeah.
Yes, give thanks. But I didn't hear you saying a ganja levy. That's not what that last point about the percentage is a ganja levy that?
Yes, a tax exemption.
So Rastafari claim that whatever them impose on these places, a percent.
A percent must be paid to a Rastafari. He decides to count that goes.
Remember Michael Mann, the bauxite levy. In the 70s. And I think that ganja is now providing us with more hope than the bauxite.
Exactly.
So we can likewise.
Yes, sir. Draw from that. So, we give thanks.
Give thanks of advice. If anything covers code of conduct. Reminded us that Rastafari wanted to enter today because they would have to film because presently as a citizen they would be excluded based on those legislation that have ruled in a specific. So it's really an end prejudice.
So when we say no,
because that's where our children
like for example, like let me just say
anyway.
China, America, you know, England, are really one set
together in the context of the Respect used to be a term that I and I use to position this very argument. We among ourselves say respect, and that's a very specific brand of elevation. Where we're taking this respect that we
talk about within our community to the wider society. Respect Rastafari. That's really what we're saying. Respect. I'm going to at this point. I think I'm turning over to my able co-host, Sister Ethiopia.
Thank you so much, my able chairman. I mean, what a wonderful presentation. So much to acknowledge, and as you say, the mission continues, and we thank you all. But finally, at this time, we're going to go to the justice video. And I want you to really be alert and aware as to what's going on from the Paul Gardens atrocity, massacre. I want you to look at the visuals and recognize how in the 21st century we could still be going through similarities, all right? So we're going to go right into the rest of us shaking his head. Like, really? And all of us are shaking our heads, really? Because this is the atrocities that Rastafari have been through and still are going through. We present to you now the justice video.
Before good enough.
Very, very important video. We're not going to share in terms of too much light, but you still can see and hear this justice.
Members of Rastafari, an organization known to some as the father of
I am looking for choices. The people in my body, my body, my body, my body, my body.
Was that it?
Yeah, it's a snippet.
It's a snippet. Thank you so much, Chris. Snippet. All right, so I don't know if there's another video coming up, but what we want to acknowledge also is persons who are online. We want to acknowledge Venezuela, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, St. Lucia, Canada, USA, Ethiopia, California. And we're just imploring you that after you heard Antigua, Martinique is also on as well, and I'm sure there are many, many more that continue to come on, but we just want to implore after the Rastafari gave the 10 demandments, and if you know this is not commandments, we are demanding, and so that's very critical as to why you should be signing the petition. That's what it's all about, and of course, I respect Rastafari.com. Please sign the petition, sign the petition, sign the petition. It's really important. So, at this time, if you don't have another video coming up yet, we are going to have a Q&A. And of course, we say international media, we say local media, but anyone here who wants to ask a question or make a statement and probably address the persons here who are part of the panel discussion, the panelists, the chairman of the panel discussion, feel free to do it. All right? So, we have the Q&A at this time. And we
Lord, Honorable Ras Aminra Abbas Selassie, Benton, on the battlefield. Well, I'm here to blessed love, where I'm here, recognize the eye, brother who want to start by, I recognize the eye, and all the other sons, of course, Isaac, love man. Yeah, I've been studying this study from 25 years old. And I would have got up man to me, especially in a same time. But I'm going to say something, it might be a little harsh because most Rastafari I ever studied like a company in same time. Right? We are all about in the hills from 9 miles from right round in the pocket road to there. That's where we do living, farming and the other things. And some terrible things happen to me. So I just have a statement instead of a question I want to share with the island. And the other I-Frence, the other I-Frence and history and everyone say, ask things like this. Right? Rastafari, reparation. I was here earlier than anybody talk about, anyone talk about that. Reparation first for Rastafari in Jamaica. Right? I have to take up my little kids in a bush, carry under my wings when the Black Hawk attack me in same time. And go under the rocks and mountains and hold on a little children and stuff. And watch Babylon destroy acres and acres. I will not talk about acres and acres of ganja. 100 acres of ganja, 125 acres of ganja. Because we used to come by the colony down there stuff and carry away some of them and carry. And the colony they are planted down there. And they used to say the last damage you get down in the 80s is when the car attack me from east, west, north and south. And we have ganja out here drying. And this place where we work as steel with the expensive class, Gucci and jeans pants and all the things that hang up inside there. But here woman, we employ 60, 70 women in them time there. They know the weekend come them salary must get up. And all those things were a firebomb, man. I don't think they out of the Mazuka, them fire that thing out there, and your place was blow. And I went through all them things there. And it is too much because my uncle was attacked of a grand uncle then. He was one of them rasta out nearby 9 miles in them bush. Then it was given, Granny was giving me his story that them time the rasta couldn't come on front. So you have a little hut in a bush over there. And you do everything there, so you live there, so you farm there, so. And that rasta was, when you want a little piece of yam to put in your soup or your soup out and then send over there. Still rasta and so Granny want a piece of yam and put money in a little child hand, so. And then go, rasta could have say, alright, come give me your bag and put a nice piece of yam in there. You never know about this guy. Rasta say already. When the thing was going on, 1963, police on the rampant, going to Alexander out here, a little place district them call named Russia. The same people them lead the security force over to the Ras dwellings. Police take him by a man, bring him out to the town, buy a new machete. Right now, they go have that place up here now. Can prove it. The lady asks, what? You know want file? It's a no man, it's alright, I want to Rasta. Never deal. And they take this new brand cutlass and hold the Rasta man lock like this. And those who tell it, bust out of the skull. I don't like what they call it, bust out in here.
My brother, thank you so much. This history
must be written, my brother.
After the documented. After the documented.
Well, we just dancing you know, because it's a long story, as I tell you, I didn't care what if I see it. It's not a question about this.
We are going to document it. We are going to document it.
So we want Rastafari. I hear 21 to come to me to come talk about ganja, Sacramento. Who is them guys to come tell me about Sacramento? We can't consume so much ganja, and Babylon couldn't give me the permission to consume ganja. We want ganja to be our economy, commercial. That's how we do it. Get up. Right up.
So at this time, we're inviting TBJ to come to the night. TBJ has a question for the international. That's a question for the time. And remember, when you go to the night, please identify yourself.
Good afternoon, Dwayne Anderson from TBJ. I just want, if you could, give us an update, if any, on how COVID-19 has impacted the community, which are probably unfortunately account and death count. And also, is there a position, an official position from the university about the vaccine?
Well, as far as I know, I've heard nothing about any Rastafari so far that has had this COVID-19 situation. And, you know, we are hoping that it remains this way, right? Because our community in the beginning, we heard all the conversation when there was no vaccine. Eat better, eat this, eat that, and everything where Rastafari eat was what they were talking about. So I think we had some prevention mechanisms in place for the COVID-19. As it relates to this conversation of vaccine, I think the government is not applying science to the conversation, because in science, you have to have the ones that will take it, then you have to have the ones that know who get the placebo, and then you have to have the ones that who don't take it. So don't behave like everybody have to take it scientifically, because that don't stand to any purpose. So Rastafari represent the ones that want to remain natural and preserve and be here as evidence of what natural people can do. Okay? That is all.
First man, I want to add to that in a real sense, we would like to see attention to the beneficial effects that they say THC and CBD have in treatment of COVID. There's a whole branch of research that has not been addressed by our population that we are ably suited based on our population and our preferences to assert to the world. The issue that we have to take a vaccine because we don't have solutions is once more overlooking and disrespecting Rastafari.
But I wanted to also say something to the brethren who raised the issue of reparation. This conversation we are having about respect Rastafari is about reparational justice. As much as we have not used that language, this is the foundation of the reparation that the society has to move towards if they want to really resolve the bigger issues in the society. So don't feel no way that that language has not been used this morning. This is about reparation, the whole idea of respect Rastafari.
Thank you so much for that clarification, Dr. Brown.
Are there any other persons who have questions? Or want to make a statement? Please identify yourself one second. Thank you.
Let's go to the next to the groundwater for time. My name is Savakan. I'm president and the founder of the Rastafari Advancement Foundation. I don't really have a question and I won't stay around because, you know, I'm looking at this blunt. Alright, it's good that we're all here fighting for the rights. aspect of Rastafari. I think the first person that I heard said what I wanted to say, that Rastafari people in return first have to aspect themselves. Alright, from the beginning, there's one problem. I think that if we fix this problem, then all our problems will be solved. And the problem is about the principle and the order of Rastafari. See, there's so many different ones that's not living within the principle and the order, the behavior and what Rastafari is about, right? So in return, then you have things like this that would happen continuously. Because let me state like I-Frence stated that many of the I-Frence, which is free, fought for this and march for what's happening now, right? So we are in a situation where we want I expect without showing that we have I expect for ourselves by building the things that we are asking our, I would say our enemies, because the government has been fighting Rastafari from the beginning. And we need schools, and we are asking the government to build schools. We have many venues and many ones that's capable, that can help us to build schools and institutions like this. Now when we build institutions like this and build a financial sector as well, or start and build an educated sector or educational sector, then we will get more, I expect, I think, and we will have a more grounded mind, our thinking of our children and our people. And basically that's what I'm saying. All right.
Good chance, brother Sam, good chance. We put it, in some instances, but we're saying take the foot off the neck, I think that's a big part of the conversation this morning. That we're saying, do not disadvantage us. We are capable of doing what we need to do, but don't set us at a disadvantage by further disadvantage.
I think, we are trapped in this kind of a colonial mentality where we feel a bit sad sometimes about our diversity, but that's what it is. And we should not follow this conversation of government about one voice, because it is uncivilized to think that way. In places like Canada, where there's 672 different nations that has to be represented, all of them don't agree. And the government is asking and then delaying our rights and delaying what we should have based on these conversations. And then we take it up and impose it for ourselves like something is wrong with us as well. If we were not disenfranchised from our economic rights, if we were not disenfranchised from our educational rights, if we were not disenfranchised and being told that our children, our mothers can disown us when we choose Africa and our own identity, we would have all that we want. So everything that the government has for us, it belongs to us, and we must stop feeling like we're begging. It is our legitimate needs. They are one of our income streams because they owe us. And the minute we stop thinking and holding ourselves responsible for what is happening to us, we will not get to see. I know 12 tribes, Bobo Shanti, and Naya being living irate until government and these things start to create these kind of a thing against us, and then we feel like we must agree with everything each other say. That is not real. Yes, so we get that.
You have a question?
Yes, after all these positive topics, where do we go from here? What are we to expect with Rastafari?
Alright, that's a good question. I will start off and then perhaps Brother Miguel, our intention is to solidly bring our family together around this issue, a commitment that transcends Jamaica goes globally, and use that now as part of our bargaining strength. We requested a meeting with the Office of the Prime Minister. The idea is that he really needs to give us some clarity, some solution, some clear voice from him. There's a committee that has been suggested because our issues across a number of ministries. There's Ministry of Justice, there's Ministry of Culture, there's Chief Ministry as well. So rightfully, it's a matter that the Prime Minister needs to respond to. And there are some clear requests that we're being issue that faces us with ganja, and the police pretend that they don't know what the law is. That's as I indicated, we are prepared to come and teach them the law. But there are a range of important first steps, and then some medium, moderate, long-term, and future steps. But the first thing is to get that meeting to press home the need for these actions. Well, we're not going to be a pandemic now. We're going to continue because, for example, on the 4th of October, in the Javon and Justin Column State in Brownstown, and we are calling on everyone to turn up with our drums, with our theatre, with our instruments. We're going to be demonstrating outside the courthouse and also outside the police station to let them know that this is serious and that we're going to be taking action. So on the 4th of October, right down, join with us in spite of the brothers and sisters that we realize that when it was one, it was all. So we will continue the agitation, we will continue the demonstration, brothers and sisters. On the 30th of September is the Christian Crazy Day at 30th of September outside Maypen Police Station. So all of these places we must demonstrate and show solidarity. To give you an idea, brothers and sisters, letters that were sent out, these letters were sent out before the ending that case arose, because of the oppression that these brothers and sisters were going through. Before the ending that case, before the Javon Column case, before the Lama case at General Penitentiary. He sent a letter, he sent one to Orange Camp, and I just read the sentences from that letter. At the commemoration of the Coral Gardens massacre on the 3rd of April, the commemoration, 3rd of April 2020, at the Pure Gatekeeper, our beloved brother, Rastafari, made it distinctly clear in his presentation that Rastafarians were experiencing untold burdens in the use of our sacrament ganja. Brother IFD outlined that Rastafari families were being harassed, mistreated in their homes, farms, during travel, with invasion and desecration of our sacramental spaces. He even presented you with a document highlighting the 2015 amendment of the ganja laws. So, on the 3rd of April this year, at the Coral Gardens commemoration, of which our Stan, the Minister of National Security, was a guest speaker, Brother IFD took the opportunity on behalf of our community to present him with a copy of the amendment, to say to you, brothers and sisters that are being harassed, brutalized in the courts, on the streets, and so on. And despite sending him this letter, reminding him of all of that, we still have not had a response as yet, brothers and sisters. That's one letter to chance. With another letter to Trump, as the Minister of Justice. This letter, dated the 23rd of July, 2021. We would like to advise you that the Rastafari Advisory Board, established by your ministry, has now ceased to meet. We have made concrete headway in advancing the identification system for Rastafarians and to regularize Rastafari cases for sacramental use of ganja. Representative of the ministry asked us to send to them at the Ministry of Justice, identify
communal Rastafari spaces where ganja will be used. We have done that, you know, so that we can say to you, ganja is being used up at Bobo Hill, ganja is being used at Scotts Pass, ganja is being used down in before I-Frence and the different spaces. You ask us for that so as to provide the exemption. So we expect now when we send you this information that you will inform the police and say to the police that space is a sacred space. Kaya is a sacred space to use ganja, you know. But they have not done that. Ask us things, we comply and you do not follow. So these are the type of things that we are going to continue with the agitation and so on. We also wrote to Brian Sykes, the Chief Justice, and this is part of his letter. In keeping with the resolution of the recent meeting of our Rastafari Ganja Coalition, held at Skyline level, cultural work and Rastafari sacramental space on July to bring to your attention the need for urgent intervention to address a race for Rastafari community. We believe the ongoing persecution of Rastafari, ironically, the founders of the ganja cultivation and industry in Jamaica, calls for urgent and concrete efforts to educate the judges within Jamaica judiciary, both at the High Court level and the Parish Court level, of the changes in the Dangerous Drug Act. Of course, we don't like call it that, but see that is the name of the law presently. We cite that, the Dangerous Drug Act and the amendment. So we write to the Chief Justice and say to you that we find that even judges do not know the law, do not know the amendment. I have taken a judge to Scotts Pass, Nyabingi, so that she sees that this is our sacred space. We have a tabernacle, we have all these things, and so on. And when she came with members of the police force from Mandeville and all of that, and everybody expressed surprise. So we are now saying to the Chief Justice, have an education program that all the judges can be made aware of this new situation, and that gradually. I have been in court, not my case or anything, and the judge, a man come and he said, Judge, I have a right to have ganja, I'm a Rasta man. So, and the judge asked me, Mr. Long, what is the position? So I happened to be in court that day, and I could explain what is the position. But what happened to do was hundreds of days with neither myself or other brothers, lawyers, who are aware of the changes, to explain to the judge.
How could the judge not know?
That is true. If the judge not know, that means that is a calamity. Yes, serious travesty. Some brothers and sisters, no excuse. So therefore, what we are saying is that we have not been sitting down, we have been working. So if at some stage we say we are going a step further, we ask you all to join in and make it clear. You can agitate, demonstrate, and if need be, meditate. That one. Meditate.
So we're going to have another response to what next. Sister Monica has a response. Give thanks, beloved. So in addition to the things that Brother Miguel just stated, which I'm sure you explicitly have stated for us, we have the I Respect Rastafari website as our communication platform. So when we end the conversation here, we're actually going to pick up the conversation in another way, and that is communicating with everyone, not just in Jamaica, on our platform. We have Rastafari TV that we use as our main means of sending out information on media. We have our IG page, I Respect Rastafari. We are also going to be preparing our training modules for the police officers, because it is obvious that training modules, because with education it has to continue. That is the only way that we will remove the ignorance that exists in Jamaica. also going to be building on all initiatives we're working with R. They are the creative platform, and we're working together as a community. Not just Naya Baby House, not Bobo Shanti, not 12 Tribe, but as Rastafari. And we'll be doing all.
All right, so I think also one of the most important things that we must know is that the government knows exactly what they should do and they are not doing it. So the next step is to get them to do it. That's the most important thing. For example, in 2018, I think that was when the inscription took place for reggae. I don't know if everybody know about that and what that means, but that is a very, very important thing that has happened. And I want people to watch that video of the inscription. Because in that video, the Government of Jamaica presented, I think Honorable Babsy Grange was there doing that great work and other members of the Ministry of Culture. And when they presented, of course, the bureaucracy came up that Jamaica never presented the thing properly. And put it to all of the subcommittees or the members of the subcommittee. And everybody got up and said, why are we wasting time? Don't all of us know that reggae belongs to Jamaica? And just hand over reggae to Jamaica and that same day. I want to ask the Jamaican government, why are we wasting time? You don't know so reggae belongs to Rastafari or even a major part of it. Why we don't just hand over? So we want the government to do what they are supposed to do in structural relationships with Rastafari, in understanding our contribution, make the right reparatory payments and arrangements. And I think that is the work, and also what the brother Sandakan was talking about, to build a strong consultative platform between the Rastafari community so the representation can be a horizontal but diverse one for the community.
Thank you so much. We have two other responses. Rastafari had want to say something and also you're okay, good. All right. So we're going to have Dr. Jalan, and then right after that we have
Alright, give thanks, sister. I wanted to take this opportunity to refer to an initiative of the St. Lucia, with Jaja and I, Justice and Healing, 21 Day Island for the 130th anniversary of Majesty's birth. Next one is Protective from the different islands. They have on board a filmmaker from South Africa, because part of the appeal to a younger generation is to be able to animate these stories outside of the oral document, but now to have them on film to share. So out of St. Lucia, led by Ras Wayne and Pete Taylor, intention is to galvanize the region over the next 11 months towards significant celebration for the 130th anniversary of His Majesty's birth, which is to constitute a judgment and healing 21-day Narrabee with the global family. It's somewhat a longer time frame for the same program that we shared this morning. So as one of the further developments, persons can look out for the signs of that judgment and healing 21-day Narrabee. Good job.
Yeah, we did as we look forward to that for next year. Next time we're going to do this
that when we say we want action from the government, let me give you an idea. Some years ago, Rastafari youth went to St. George's College, which is dreadlock. The school, the principal then, we wrote to the Minister of Education, we called upon the Minister of Education, and at the time, this was about 5 years ago, no, probably more than that. But the key thing was that the Chief Education Officer went to St. George's College and made it clear to the principal that if you don't accept this child, the government subvention that the government gives you to keep the school going, we're going to cut it off. So, in other words, you can have immediate action. Because none of these government schools can run without government money. And when the chief education officer told the principal that, of course, they said yes, the child can come. So it can be done, brothers and sisters. It's just we know how to keep pumping and make sure and continue education. Blessings. I also want to mention that there's a document now, and we are going to circulate it, what is called the Rastafari Anniversary Declaration. It's made up of results of seminars and Zoom meetings and so on for the past year. And in that document, we define Rastafari. This is Rastafari defining Rastafari. We have stated our ideology and many of our principles. It will be circulated in time to come. Divided.
Thanks, Brother Miguel. At this time, we're going to go to Juan, who said earlier, and it's a good segue because a young lady who I knew before she was even born. And yeah, I knew her before she was even born, and she's just coming through so articulate and bringing forth this poem. The poem is titled Rastafari So Cool, and it's by Dakota Brissett. Give a round of applause for you.
We view food as a people on earth. We are rejected by society for saying, I and I. Our dress are worn natural and raw, but society seems to see it as a flaw. Because we don't comply to the straight hair, selected bun, or jacket and tie, we focus on our life and helping the people while they look down on us. We have to be their guardian angel. We are the original cultivators of the DNA, but got people thrown into jail and told we are drug dealers. Today, they give it to their in-lab dealers and research its features, and just like a people, their leaders are innocent in this political fight. They are stealers. Some see the Rastaman as a gangster man. Some see us as a madman. And some see us as a wise man. But just like the Jews and Jesus, they did not believe our prophecies until they seen them completely. Up to this day, they still question the Rastaman. Society draws information from the rumors of so-called Christian people. They feed the lies to us like medicine in a needle. Marley tried, Marcus tried, the Rastaman been trying to warn them. But they waited, procrastinated, and now they've been baited by this brutal evil. They say we have 40 legs in our heads. They say we black hearted. They say we should eat meat. How much lives must we stand? Our philosophies are innate. Our philosophies is science. And again, society twists our words and causes us qualify. In the schools, the children shout, "Ja, Rastafari," and they don't know the meaning. But how could they? From birth, they've been believing the data that society feeds. It is our calling to educate and save collapsing mankind. We must be the eyes for society is blind.
And what a beautiful poem that was from the Source of Education and Petition. So of course, just to see visuals of these youngsters here with a powerful. I'm telling you, man, it's just a joy because as you say, youth shall lead them, So basically, that is what is manifested here in visuals and also through the word sound of the social respect. This time we're going to invite Peter McDonald, who's going to, there's a team, people are part of the dream team, people that dream team, but it's not part of that dream team. This is all about high respect for Rastafari. Feel up and voter time. Hard working.
the whole of the international family, both here in Jamaica and the Caribbean region and abroad. So this is just to express the level of gratitude for the multiple level effort for this. Starting with the ancients from generations ago, those who sweat their blood, those who came before us, suffered before us. And we know that I and I heart is hurting when after so many generations we are still in the same place in many respects. So Respect Rastafari came out organically. We saw in the United States there was George Floyd who triggered what was already surfacing under the skin. And in Jamaica for us it was Princess Singa King. Because that just culminated the one vibration of this feeling of being, refused, used and abused. And the Rastafari community has really come together to say enough is enough. So this time is really to say give thanks to the effort that has come out organically. This is not something that was being planned very systematically. There are ones who are agitating about the gender industry. Respect is due to RAGA, the Rastafarian Grassroots Association that has been meeting regularly to really defend the issues related to decriminalization and the enforcement of the laws that have been already amended. We give thanks to the younger generations amongst us who are creative, who are trying to build a new organization of the Rastas and the Empresses, who are creative and to put their creative energies, and we give thanks for their inputs into this event. We want to give thanks to the mothers who have come behind this event and started even a WhatsApp group that is multinational. And these are the children who want to be equipped with what they must say when they're being called dirty Rasta, and what they must do to uplift themselves and to defend themselves. So there are different creative ways, and we want to give thanks to the women who have come behind the children, who at this time want a response, need help and guidance. We want to give thanks to the different houses and mansions that have been continuing the work. We know that there's one trying to define and articulate for those who are not understanding the fullness, so that generations can be passed on this legacy of Rastafari. We want to give thanks especially for this event, for those who came from far with the liability drums, because we know without that we can't start an event. There was a prayer that was said at the earlier hour, getting ones who are far and wide. So we know that there's been many positive inspirations to make this event happen. We didn't really expect the government to be here today because we're coming off of a lockdown. These letters were only just given, but what, as the panel has already expressed, it is too long. Why is it taking so long to hear the response from this investigation? Tirelessly on defending the case, mostly pro bono, because these are aspects of justice. We want to give thanks on the media, and I can't express enough, because in these days and times, in the times of lockdown, we can't really depend on the news or gatherings to get across our messages. So it becomes really critical, and we want to give up Rastafari TV that has now presented an ongoing platform for us. This is not just ours, as you will be seeing, which will be fed content from different places. And we're going to make this a site and a reservoir, as Sister Mamita has said, where it can be pulled from. You don't have to wait on the organizers. This is something that can be pulled from the reservoir, that is of content that will be created for you to use and multiply and amplify in different platforms. On the logistical side, we want to give thanks especially to Kaya Herb House. Usually when as a person who's coming from the 70s, we know our brethren and sisters would be locked up for herbs and looking for a seed of herbs. So to see dispensaries now sometimes is a tense feeling, to see where one is giving money to buy the license and operate like this. But we do give thanks to Kaya Herb House to acknowledge that this is a privilege built on the blood and separation of the Rastafari community, and how good it is that this can be given forward to strengthen the effort where the Rastafari community itself can build up back forward its rightful place in the Rastafari industry, so that we too can benefit profit and get revenue to increase and feed into our progression and upliftment. So there are so many people that are going to be forgotten when you give a vote of thanks. It's a dangerous thing. But you know, the engineers, we want to thank the persons who provided the graphics, the persons who are doing the engineering, all the technical inputs behind, all the people who cook the soup, so that the ones coming from far can have some sustenance. We want to give thanks to the international community that has really shown up, bringing the solidarity messages, having their own consultations in their communities. It is one thing that I hope has come across despite the technical challenges we've experienced today, is that Rastafari is alive and well and strong, and we're in stopping. So for all of